You're listening to the Life in General podcast with Tom and Jaye. An hour of informative commentary on today's headlines, current events, and what's going on around the world and around the corner. And now, here are your hosts, Tom and Jaye Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jaye, coming at you from Hendersonville, Tennessee, and lovely Playa Secador, about 3 inches away from the sun.
That's correct.
We are here, episode 51, almost made it to a full year's worth of, weeks worth of episodes, one per week, and for now and for the foreseeable future until we lose all of our subs, as the number is fluctuating between 49 and 51, and now back to 49. So hey, it's all gravy, baby. So we're gonna start this episode off the same way we do every time, and ask the man of the hour how he is. So hey, Dad, how are you?
I'm good, and we know who you are. We know who you are.
The Life in General podcast is in no way can confirm nor deny
starting off with a disclaimer right off the bat. We have no idea who the subscribers are unless you tell us. That's okay. Right.
Well, it's something that definitely protects both parties, right, by not knowing and all of that. So kind of,
and we need all the protection we can get.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the lawyer on retainer has skipped town, so
Yeah,
that's it.
Better call Saul.
Get Saul Goodman in here to help us out. So we have several topics here that we wanted to discuss. One thing that we wanted to, if people aren't Derby fans, Kentucky Derby fans, that is, not roller derby or smash car derby that you see very seldomly when you hear the banjo start playing. The Kentucky Derby has been going on for, well over 100 years. Tradition up in Louisville, and I was up there, not at the Derby, but pretty dang close, and got to spend some time with some excellent family members and had some great conversation, and had the horse to win in our random drawing of pots that we put in for. And,
did you really?
Oh, I had
good for you.
Zandon or whomever, who was like 3-1 when these were printed and pulled and cut and all that. And I was like, cool, I have a chance. And of course, then the 80-1 horse Rich Strike comes in out of nowhere and gives the bird or the hoof to the rest of their competitors, and just it was over, just like that. So don't bet, kids. It's not worth it in the slightest, because the odds shall never be in your favor. Let us know down below in the comments if you've won or lost a lot of money at pool halls, gambling houses, whatever you want to call it. So
they call that the fastest 2 minutes in sports.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's just that quick. It's like 2.5 minutes or something, like 2 minutes and 38 seconds or something.
What's very exciting is you sit there. The Derby is on every TV in the house. That in Kentucky, every television automatically turns on to the Derby. Nobody pays attention to it up until those 2 minutes. And then it's like, rah, 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 rah. Okay, cool. That was fun. And then boom, like Derby's over. Yeah, so
let's eat.
yeah, exactly. Eat, drink, and be merry. So that was something that was pretty fun. Awesome place we went. Thanks so very much for having us, my lovely cousin out there. And yeah, just had a great time and got to spend it with family, and it was super cool. So
cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
It was good stuff. One of the things on here that you wanted to talk about, and we hinted at it a little bit last week, kind of as our topic, kind of for closing and or right beforehand, was the Supreme Court leak. And then you tacked on here, there's a protest happening right now. What I saw online was the leak was potentially from a conservative source. Not that makes a hill of beans one way or the other, but it would be interesting to kind of figure out the inner workings of that and kind of see why someone would do it. And also, I mean, leaking Supreme Court information to me, for one, seems a little bit arbitrary, right? Because if that's what they're going to do, and you know they're going to do it, why does us knowing a little bit earlier matter? But it all has to deal with money and power and political influence and all this silliness. But
right. Well, it's illegal. It's illegal to protest or gather in front of the Supreme Courthouse or the residence of a justice with intent to influence a decision in a current case. It's a federal law.
right.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And why nobody's doing anything about this, I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't, because it's illegal. It's against federal law, and the DOJ and whoever else is it, the FBI, the CIA, the FCC. I don't understand why somebody won't do something about this.
You mean why someone is not
allowing them to protest?
Okay.
Now, you can give me all that bullshit that you want to. I got the right to protest. Okay, well, I'm a justice. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one of my judge buddies and get a restraining order for people to not be within so close of my residence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Ruth sent us people. You know what that is?
The Ruth sent us? No.
Well, they gave it that name, Ruth sent us. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
She was the Chief Justice that passed away not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
She would have never condoned any of this, never condoned any of it. And that's the first thing I'm going to do is get a restraining order.
Okay.
The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hire paramilitary security operators, because they don't operate by the same laws that everybody else does. They don't have the same restriction as a regular security guard or the police or sheriff's department. They just don't.
So why do we have to get somebody who needs to operate outside of the law?
Because the people that you're dealing with they're breaking the law. They're breaking the law. It's federal law, and they're breaking the law with no consequences or nothing whatsoever. How would you like to be the next door neighbor of one of those guys? You didn't do anything. Dude lived next door.
I think if I was the next door neighbor to a justice, I think I'm doing pretty well for myself in my existence. So it'd get a little hairy, but I mean, it'd be kind of annoying.
Okay.
You know?
Oh yeah, sure. Because you don't know how long they put a map up with the addresses of the justices. Really? If you were to bring the police down there, and you had like a prison transport bus or had a big bus or something, and you got out your zip ties and started arresting people, watch how fast they would scatter. They would scatter so fast if you started arresting them. It would be incredible. And just clean out the street and load them up and take them to jail. Take them to jail. That's federal, man. That's federal. That's not any bullshit right there. That's federal. And the thing about it is, Roe v. Wade, it's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Constitution. And actually, it's a state regulated. Each state has their own regulations on Roe v. Wade. So nobody's going to go without an abortion. They're not going to go without. They're not trying to ban abortions. So depending on what state you live in, it'll have some restrictions. But they're not banning abortion. But it's a state deal. It's not federal. And these people have taken it to the federal level. That's how ignorant they are. It doesn't have anything to do with the justices. It doesn't. You do that at the state level. So you need to go protest at your damn governor's house or some shit.
So this says Title 18, Section 1507 of the U.S. Code, this law states it is illegal, like you said, with intent of influencing any judge to picket or parade in or near a building or residence occupied or used by such judge, juror, witness, or court officer, or with such intent to resort to any other demonstration in or near any such building or residence. So that's what that actual law is there for those who are.
That kind of covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That pretty much covers the residence and the courthouse.
Oh, right.
But they're not doing anything about it. They're just, yeah, okay. They went to Kavanaugh's house and Justice Roberts' house. And then the next day they were going to Alito's house. Mm-hmm. And they were going to just go to these different houses and protest on their street. I wouldn't have it, man. I wouldn't have it. If I lived on the street, I wouldn't have it. Because you're breaking the law. You're breaking the law, man. And a couple of those guys have a wife and young children in the home.
Right. That would be my big thing is look at the family of the justice and kind of
right.
Think about that when you're going out and protesting something where that child, if there's one in there, or that wife or husband or whomever is fearing for their safety, that would kind of be a big deal. Now, of course, you have to understand too, the family outside of a judge has never been what I would consider just naturally safe, because you have such an interesting position in terms of like the law and the justice system, and something where being a judge, I mean, you're not that your life is on the line, but others are around you because you make those decisions. And if it's a justice, the highest court in the land, granted, we should have they should be, I don't want to say granted special privileges, because that's not really what we're trying to do, but making it so that they and their families feel safe. I can understand coming from that angle. Now,
here's what they did. Congress voted to give them the same security protection that they give the vice president and the president of the United States.
And
they just voted like 2 or 3 days ago. Oh, they're giving it to them. They're giving them that security protection.
Wow.
They voted to give that to them because they know their lives are in jeopardy.
So something else too with that though, look at what that does. That keeps tabs on them all the time. And and don't think for a second that folks who are guarded in such a way that would be like a presidential candidate or, a VP or House of Representatives person, whomever is next in line after the VP, they're going to be tapped, strapped, all that sort of stuff where they're not going to have any more privacy. And now that could be an entire agenda for people.
Think about this. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call Hunter Biden and ask him how to circumvent the Secret Service and stuff, because him and his dad did it.
Well, I wouldn't say they circumvented it. They
don't have any records for 3 years that they traveled overseas.
Well, none that they're going to give away. That's for damn sure.
Well, they're missing 3 years that they can't come up with the travel agenda for the three of these years that they traveled over to China and Ukraine and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The Secret Service, where are these guys at, man? You're supposed to be with them 24/7, right on their heels, just like you said. Mm-hmm. You can't get away from them. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I would say it's not so much as getting away from them. It's more so creating a situation where stuff is lost and then it's not going to come back around. Because, I mean, this dude was the VP and then now he's the president. Golden shield forever. Like, that's just kind of how it is. And especially now, like, it would take something very large to be like another Watergate scenario where presidents are resigning or people are going to jail or all, like, something to cause that big of a ruckus, because it seems though right now when you look at something like House of Cards, that series where that's what it feels like. It feels as though people aren't turning on each other because they know the entire system is going to collapse if that's the case. So that's why it's going to be real stinking hard to have any actual change. But,
well, you need to vote them all out. Vote them all out, because this is just another distraction from the border crisis, Afghanistan, the Hunter Biden investigation, fuel prices, and Ukraine. It's a distraction from all of that shit going on. Mm-hmm. And here you are, they're letting them protest illegally in front of a justice's house when you got all this other stuff going on. And speaking of Ukraine, my head about exploded this morning about 6:30 when I was reading the news feed where Congress was voting on a $40 billion aid package to Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And there's no baby formula on the shelves.
See, I don't see the juxtaposition to those two things. I can understand why both would be frustrating and both would make you frustrated.
Well, what frustrated me is the baby formula. Okay, I don't have any. I don't have a dog in that fight. But 157 Republicans voted to send $40 billion to Ukraine, and 49 voted no. Vote them out. Vote them out in November, man. None of them are any good. None of them. But Joe's got to send that money, or they're going to snitch on his ass. They're going to snitch on him. All the stuff that they've done, and he's done. So he's got to keep giving him money.
So let's say Joe loses in the next election. What's the?
Oh, you count on that.
That's fair, but my point here is, or the question that I would pose is, okay, are they going to just extort him until he can't, like he's not president, and he doesn't have as much influence over that, so they're just going to squeeze him dry for now, and then go back and say, oh, okay, that's fine. Like we're satiated now because you've given us X amount of billions of dollars, and then once he's gone, it's like, well, guess we can't continue this squeeze. We got to go find some more.
That'll be tough.
I guess
Ukraine and China and Russia, Kazakhstan. I mean, there's a whole bunch of countries that they did business with in there. That it's just that's some man, oh man.
Well, so you want to talk about this? Excuse me. You want to talk about this baby formula stuff? I mean, when you were hearing that, did they tell you why it was hard to find baby formula?
I just saw the news feed pop up, and some moms were complaining about they couldn't breastfeed and they couldn't find baby formula, and they didn't know what they were going to do because it wasn't readily available, and they showed empty shelves in stores and stuff like that. So I just think that'd be tough. To pay $4.37 a gallon for regular gasoline, that's the nationwide average.
Oh yeah.
To go look for baby formula, and diesel is $5.55 is the national average as of yesterday.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of intense, but
it's going to be tough driving around looking for things that you can't find.
I'm seeing this, and of course, this is from the Washington Post, so take that with whatever grains you need. The shortage for this is compounded by supply chain challenges, product recalls, and historic inflation, because they had to recall a good amount of that product that they make up in Michigan. And of course, you're having supply chain shortages with all sorts of stuff, so things being compounded. Right, where product recalls, some children are getting sick with infections from these sorts of things. Like, there's a lot of things happening right now with that scenario that is very terrible, but I wouldn't juxtaposition it next to Ukraine. It's like, I don't think it's apples to apples in that sense, but I mean, both of those seem kind of wild, and I don't know if I'm for or against doing support to Ukraine. Oftentimes, you think, okay, well, I mean, I'm using the royal you, right? Where you think okay, America polices the world, or we're such a force in it that people should, you know, be on their best behavior. And excuse me, a lot of folks who I know who've been out of the country, who have either lived abroad or been out and about, they think just the opposite. They're like, okay, y'all need to check yourselves, stay in your own yard, and not mess with anybody else unless it's a dire need. And now I would say in this circumstance, it is relatively dire, but I don't know about sending $40 billion to another country. Now, however, how many times have we sent billions of dollars to other places as well, right? And we
all the time.
America do it all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And it's not something that I've seen us complain too much about before. However, now, since we have more media, more news feeds, more data or information coming at us, for good, for better or for worse, it seems that that's just the right kind of topic that's going to set people off. So,
well, yeah, it'll set them off for sure. So. But we need, like I've said from the beginning, we need to stay out of that. We don't have a dog in that fight, man, and we're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Next thing you know, you're going to have friggin' boots on the ground. And they said they wasn't going to do that, but they lie about everything. Everything's a lie that they say. So who can believe? You got to vote them out in November, man. November the 8th. Oh my God, get them out. Get them the hell out, man. I
think that you might see some change in faces, but I don't know if it's going to be the amount that you would like. So
some of the primaries were last week too, and some of the people are taking a bath on those.
Oh, sure.
Some of the people are losing, and that they didn't think would lose, which I think that's excellent.
I got
so. You. I mean, I don't know if the people coming in are going to be any better than the ones that are there, but at least they'll be new.
So you would rather, instead of facing the devil, you would rather face a new devil and possibly worse devil.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because that devil doesn't know me.
Okay.
So we'll go from there.
Well, that's very fair. Well, I mean, this one right now doesn't know you either, but.
Well, the devil went down to Georgia because he was looking for a soul to steal.
Some have made certain accusations of that sort of thing. Speaking of going down of devils and things of that nature, you have on here inmate and correction officer escape. Is this a tale of an officer is helping an inmate, get out of jail free card? Is that what's going on here?
Yes. The both of them's last name is White. So Officer White and Inmate White. Mm-hmm. They were at two separate facilities. I don't know how they got to know each other and how they started to communicate.
Okay.
Well, they've had this communication or pen pal relationship for a pretty good while, they said.
Yeah.
Well, somehow, and I don't know how far up the food chain Officer White was, but she got Inmate White transferred to her facility. Mm-hmm. And they set all of this up, and she was taking him for a mental evaluation.
Okay.
And got him in the patrol car and drove off, and they
absconded.
Drove off into the sunset. Yes.
Wow.
And it was interesting was she sold her house the day before.
Okay.
And this was supposed to be her last day at work. And she told everybody she's going to retire and go live on the beach. And then she got in the patrol car to take Inmate White to the facility and never got there.
Do they know, or how old were these people?
They're probably in their mid-30s, I guess,
Well, I was going to say, like it'd be difficult to retire in your mid-30s when you're a correctional officer.
Well, right? Yeah, but if you had a house and sold it and got, 100, 150 or something like that out of the house, 200, we don't know all the circumstances, but they had a getaway car waiting, and so they parked the patrol car, got in the getaway car, and they ended up, after 11 days 11-day manhunt. This was in Alabama.
Nice.
11-day manhunt. They ended up crashing the car.
Oh, wow.
In Indiana, and inmate White turned himself in, and Officer White shot herself.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, I just, it popped up a couple of times on my news feed, and I didn't care, but it was interesting because your sister asked me about extradition.
Yeah.
Okay. And for people that don't know that, that's when two jurisdictions, and it could be in the same state. When I worked for the sheriff's office in Sumner County, we would extradite people like to Robertson County, to Springfield, Tennessee. Or when I worked in Nashville, we might extradite somebody over to Birmingham, Alabama or something. It could be in state or it could be out of state. So extradition is when two jurisdictions agree that a person has committed a crime somewhere and they send that person to that jurisdiction to answer for those crimes. Like if somebody robs a bank in Nashville and then they go rob a bank in Brentwood and then they go rob a bank in Chattanooga. Well, okay, you've got three different jurisdictions there. You've got Davidson County, you've got Brentwood's in Williamson County, and then you got Hamilton County in Chattanooga. So they're going to have to answer for the crime in each one of those jurisdictions. So
I got you.
It's called extradition when they, this, and it's funny because this is a non-extradition country.
Right. Meaning they're not ever going to export somebody for.
So if I came to the States and committed a crime, then I got on a plane and came back down here, they couldn't touch me. They couldn't come after me. I mean, they might send a bounty hunter or something after me, but they couldn't,
I was going to say,
you're not walking onto an airplane with the belly chain and the leg irons and all that. You ain't doing that shit.
I was going to say, if you do that, you might get Batman coming after your ass, right? Because that's what they did. One of the villains from The Dark Knight, he goes to China. Because at least in the movie, China is a non-extradition country. And he just kind of absconds out there and is gone, and it's okay. But Batman goes out there and, whoops the ass of all of his bodyguards and shit, and then gets him back on a plane and says, "Oh, look, this person made it back. That's exciting." So that was kind of interesting. But
there's two states that don't extradite.
Really?
And that's South Carolina and Missouri.
Interesting.
You're there and you're stuck. Yeah. They don't participate. It's your sister was asking me why a person would be able to choose where they were going to go to spend their time.
Oh, yeah, to serve their time.
Yeah, to serve their time. That's something that's worked out between the jurisdictions. That they don't get to say. I don't get to say, "Hey, I want to do my time in the Sumner County Jail when I committed a crime in Robertson County." And it's going to be probably how heinous the crime is. You're not going to get to pick where you want to go. Now, if you can influence your lawyer to talk to the DA and the DA works it out with somebody else, maybe so, but you don't get to go, "Hey, I want to go there," because they got to, Robertson County Jail is a whole lot nicer than the Sumner County Jail. So
why do you think that is?
It's newer and it's cleaner it's more modern and up to date. Yeah. So that's it. So
some jails now, man, it from what the pictures I've seen, and it might not even be jails. Maybe this is prison, but TVs, nice looking beds, good furniture, cell phones. That to me flabbergasts me is they have cell phones in prisons and they can continue to do crime.
I don't know where that would be. I don't know where that would be because any of them that I've been, it's funny because in Nashville, the medium security prison in Nashville down on Harding Place was a non-smoking facility.
I bet that drove people crazy.
Oh, well, you could bring in a pack of cigarettes, and they were called Cadillacs. And those cigarettes sold for $5 a piece.
Damn.
So a pack of cigarettes that you paid, this is back in the day, that you paid $5 for or $4.50 for was worth $100. Or you could go get Prince Albert, the foil pouch, and the rolling papers, and sell those for $3 a piece.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was just stuff going on all the time in all of those places. It's pretty crazy. But one thing that I don't understand exactly how they got away, because when I worked at the prison, and I'm sure it's like that probably in the county jail, whenever you transport somebody, when you get in the vehicle, you got to call into dispatch. You got to call the time. The master control is where your dispatch is in the jail. That master control controls all the telephones, all the firearms, all the doors. They control everything. They control the whole jail. You had to call in the time, the car, the unit number you were in, the mileage that was on the dash at the time, and where you were going to them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Especially if it was a female that you were transporting and you were a male officer driving and it was just the two of you. So I can't see where that would be different with a female officer taking a male inmate. I can't see why. Maybe they did away with that. I don't know. But when I worked at the prison and would pick somebody up from the hospital or pick somebody up from another jurisdiction or something, you would have to call all of that stuff in. And if you didn't know, they knew how far it was from Meharry Medical Center in Nashville to the prison on Harding Place. They knew how far it was and how long it ought to take you. And, buddy, if you wasn't there within a few minutes, they were calling your ass wanting to know where you were.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Keep a tight watch, yeah.
Yeah, well, then how did they get away?
Well, my assumption is that they got away following normal procedures, and then once they were out of the vicinity, the area in which the control of the prison is no longer valid, they just drove off, and that's why they had a different car, and that's why they hop ship and jump somewhere else. But
I guess it's just interesting to me that that had to be well planned and well thought out. But that's probably why she shot her. Why she shot herself, because she knew that they were going to put her in prison.
Right.
That's 100%. facilitating an escape.
Yeah.
And then he gets an escape charge thrown on him, which is 10 more years.
Yeah.
Because he's got an escape charge on there. And let me tell you, going after somebody that's escaped, yeah, that's a load of fun. I've gone after a few people that have escaped, and they either go to their mom's house or they go to their wife or girlfriend's house.
Oh.
Catch them at one or two places every time.
Every time that with just guys? I mean, or is there something different when it happens with a lady? Just the other direction.
I never went on a female escape. It was always male inmates that I went, and I would, we would go around to the back door, because when you bang on the front door, they're going to run out the back door. Like
right.
Get away. Like you don't have that covered. Hello. Yeah. Hello, McFly.
Well, they've seen the movies, and they're just hoping that you guys aren't very prepared. So
yeah, unless there's a big Doberman in the backyard or something, and then you better have some treats in your pocket for his ass or something.
Bring the pocket bacon, right?
Exactly to keep him busy. Yeah, because when he come busting out that back door, you better be ready, man.
Oh, it's on, man. There was a little like English Terrier, French Terrier. This little dog we were kind of messing with at the derby party, and that dog's head is probably about the size of a mango. It's not a very large animal, but it had it had a bite. That's for damn sure. So when we would play fetch with it or whatever, it got me a little bit, and I was like, we are going to cease this activity. And let you play fetch by yourself, because damn, that's it's like get you a little bit there. But
ours too started fighting day before yesterday, and I mean they were locked on to the net, and stuff. And I grabbed one of them and it turned around and bit my arm. And so I've got all these gash marks and stuff on my arm. Well, it won't do that again. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You be careful.
Yeah, I wasn't. And I've known, I wasn't going to get in between them. I'd let them fight.
Yeah.
Because the last time I got in the middle of something, I ended up flat on my back on the concrete. My head pounding against the concrete when a cat got in the yard. And the dog started chasing the cat. Well, then when I went to get the dog turned around and jumped up on me, knocked me down on the concrete. And it's like, wait a minute, man, my head hit the concrete. No. So y'all can go ahead and y'all can fight that out, man. It's all good. I'll catch you when you're finished.
Yeah, when they tire themselves out, and it's
that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, they're all right now, I guess, and then just
yeah, and they'll stop. They'll stop because they're not going anywhere. They're inside the compound, so they're not going anywhere.
Tuckered themselves out. Yeah, that's it.
But somebody was screaming at me to fix it, so I was like, okay.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah. So
Mr. Fix It is your name. So
no, I knew a guy's name was Mr. Fix It.
Yeah. I'm sure. First name Mr. Last name Fix. Fix It hyphen. So So speaking of people doing illegal things, kind of the topic or the theme, I'll say, of today's episode, people just being criminals.
Dastardly deeds.
Yeah. That's what I should call the episode. Dastardly deeds. An excellent fan out there wanted to kind of get into the topic last time, which we didn't have a whole lot of time to do it. Wanted to get into the topic of drugs, essentially, which I thought was it's a pretty interesting topic, and I think it's something that they just kind of want our input on, but to each their own, right? I mean...
Isn't that fan kind of young to be wondering about drugs?
Not in the slightest, and the reason why I say that is no one is too young to think about drugs, and the reason being is, when we look at what one is, what do you think your definition of one is?
A drug is an addition to other chemicals to make a medication.
And so what we talk about...
Does that sound like bullshit to you?
Well, I think one of the parts that we're going to look at is if we look at it, a substance like that, we think about, sugar. We think about caffeine. We think about nicotine, like tobacco, sorts of...
Right.
addictive things to that end. And I mean, caffeine is one of the most highly addictive things you could possibly do, right? That and nicotine just kind of, and sugar for sure, just kind of blow right through the roof. But we're not trying to put heavy regulations on like caffeine. You can have as many triple espressos that you want, and even though your heart may in fact explode, they're not bum rushing the Starbucks with the SWAT team, where it might be a little different if it's weed or if it's Coke or not the drinking kind, but hey, to each their own. And
things go better with Coke.
Well, debatable, but we'll definitely see. So to that end, we talked a little bit about people getting, I think, pardons for distributors, essentially, right?
The drug-related,
right. The pardons.
Violators.
Yeah, and we were discussing them a little bit last week, and you thought that they shouldn't be pardoned, and we're pretty heavily convicted with that, and that's to each their own, and that's a fine opinion. But it's something where, is there a reason you don't want to take it a little bit easier on nonviolent offenders?
No. Breaking the law is breaking the law, man. And if you've got a joint in your ashtray is different than 10 pounds of weed in the trunk. That kind of stuff. It's just different. And with the opioid epidemic going on, the people that are making the opioids or making the meth or selling that shit, those people are criminals. I mean, they really are. And, because people are dying. They're dying from that stuff.
Why do you think that?
Might as well pull the trigger.
Well, why do you think that people are turning to opioids in this crisis that we have on our hands?
To escape reality. The reality of the world today, which is completely chaotic and out of control.
Well, that's all well and good, but that's their choice, right?
You didn't like that answer?
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. I really don't mind that answer at all. I think it's quite valid, and it's something that I do find a little bit sad, but I understand completely the notion of wanting to escape. And to that end, I'm not thinking ill of these people. However, you say it's like pulling the trigger, but no one made them take a drug. So how is that the same?
Nobody made you drink the Diet Mountain Dew either, but you drink it.
Okay.
Because you enjoy it.
So to that end,
and it works for you. So
okay.
They take the drugs.
Let's look at a couple things here.
Are you hooked on Diet Mountain Dew? I mean,
I honestly, I think if you cut me right now, green goo would come out. It'd be a mixture of blood and Diet Mountain Dew, almost 100%.
When I saw you come out of Sam's with a 36-pack amount of Diet Mountain Dew, I said, "Yeah, that's his favorite."
Well, and I also had a 36-pack of regular Mountain Dew for you up here.
I was like, yes. Well, you can't get it down here.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you
so
can.
I had a
can
in each hand,
Yeah, double fisting, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's very sparse down here.
Right. Well, exactly. Well, it makes it mean more, right? Because it only on special occasions. Okay. So you have that notion of a dealer is potentially killing someone. They've given somebody the opportunity to have a bad experience, right? Now you're going to love this next question. Is it the same for a gun salesman?
Is it the same as the cashier at Sam's that rang up the sugared drinks?
Right.
For the diabetic?
Right. That's the question.
I mean,
so if that's the case, everyone's getting locked up because everyone is
lock them all up.
Yeah. Everyone get into your cells immediately. So to that end, that's where that thought process goes, right? Is
right.
If we're going to be super harsh to a drug dealer, well, we're not any harsher to the CEOs or the salespeople or whomever pharmaceutical companies who oftentimes it appears as though folks are selling chemicals that give you side effects. They don't heal what needs to be healed. They just give you side effects for other things. When we were in, I think it was St. Thomas a while back with like one of your scans or one of your blood work things or whatever, there were two older gentlemen in the lobby, and other than them talking about Gatlinburg burning down, they spoke about the medicine that they were given, and they said, yeah, never took any medication until I hit a certain age, and then now I've taken a medicine for this, but that causes X, Y, and Z side effects, so then I have to take more to counteract those side effects, and and it seemed like almost like a racket, right? It seemed as though
it is a racket.
That it's almost purposeful that these are being utilized because it's a cycle that once you step into it, it's over. You're just going to have to continue to do this, to do this, to do this. And I mean, it seems like a bad deal, but talking about, substance dealers and whatnot. I mean, if we think that harshly about that scenario, then we need to be reconsidering a lot of things, because if that's the case, then the manufacturer of the Coca-Cola, right, who allows just like you said, the diabetic to drink a sugary beverage that's basically just pure corn syrup at this point in time. I mean, or like high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
So is that the mentality we're supposed to have, or do we need to, take a step back and say, well, okay, it's not a dealer's fault that somebody's engaging with them. Now, granted, I kind of understand the position of them giving somebody an opportunity, but no one's forcing you to do anything. I mean, come on.
Right. You're right.
So,
well, nobody's forcing you. If you do drugs, then do the drugs. Who cares, man? I mean, that's what you want to do.
Right. But we also had a small little point of, there's a difference between someone having a blunt in an ashtray that's being prepared to be ingested, and then versus the guy who's got 10 pounds of hooch in his back seat, right? But
correct.
Are they really different? I mean, you could have possession with the intent to sell on both of those things regardless. I mean, you could be taking that blunt to Joe Blow over there and say, hey, I'm selling this, right? Versus the person who is carrying the brick of weed and they're driving back from, Illinois down to the tippy top of Georgia, where they would never say weed's legal, or whatever southern states you want to go to. And it's just haphazard that it's that close. But that's all for me, baby. That's not for y'all. Like, breaking the law is breaking the law. So it's a pretty nuanced topic, and something that takes a lot of care, I would say, because that's also one thing too, is let's say they make weed legal everywhere. How many people are you letting out of prison? Just instantaneously. Nope, sorry, not doing that. And from what I've seen, a lot of states are minimizing or just kind of putting that to bed right now, so you don't have more people put in for that. But I don't know. It's kind of wild, that whole topic.
Yes, it is. It is. It's just how deep you want to go.
Sure. Well, and I've also seen that folks will plead to a lesser charge, and that's why their charge is what it is. It's because they've got you on 3 counts or 3 or 4 charges, and the DA or whomever is making that decision says, okay, we'll plead guilty to this. We'll, we put somebody away because that's their kind of their job, right? It doesn't seem like it's to uphold and defend justice. It's to make a quota almost and keep the streets safe, which, I guess, but you're putting people away for not paying child support or having, an eighth of weed on them or whatever. That just seems kind of arbitrary. I mean, there are bad people in the world who you can focus your efforts on and not have to mess with duder who just guy or gal who just wants to kind of get lit and lean back a little bit. So. You're
right. That's why they're letting that stuff go, because it's more trouble than it's worth. I think. The one joint in the ashtray deal, when they used to would hook you up for that, possession charge.
Oh yeah, they would go ham on your ass straight up.
Now I think they just write you a citation, and it's like a freaking speeding ticket or something,
Well, if it's under a certain amount, they don't care. Like, they just simply say, all right, I'm going to get you on the busted taillight I just knocked out, versus doing anything with a substance charge, because it's too messy at this point.
Right, right. And that's the world we live in.
Right. Speaking
It's
of
got
the
to that point.
pardons a little bit, kind of like where this started to a degree. Our excellent fan out there gave me the skinny of several of the pardons for the drug abuse charges and things of that sort were folks who had a link to Hunter. Now, I didn't read that anywhere, but I do think that's kind of hilarious where
Sure.
they're thinking, hey, if you're not going easy or commuting my sentence or blah, 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 we're going to just all pile on and say, your boy's going to jail forever, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
They'll drop a dime on his ass. I watched the Tony Bobolinsky interview again the other day, and that was one of his partners overseas. And he met with Joe 2 or 3 times overseas at different hotels and stuff. So, I mean, the guy was there. He was right there. And it's not politically motivated because he doesn't care. But the guy served in the armed forces, and they're treating him like a traitor or something. So yeah, he was all jacked up about that. That's why he came forward. He said, you guys do the right thing, and put an end to this crap, or I'm going to come out and explain it all to them. Well, they said, don't do that. And he said, watch me. And he did. I mean, he's got dates and times and texts that Hunter had sent him and emails about the big guy and, photograph with him and Joe and Hunter and somebody from the Communist China Party and stuff like that. So it's like, man, he's got your ass right there. I mean, he's walking, living proof. It's a wonder he's still alive. If he had all this stuff on the Clintons,
Yeah.
they'd had him killed already.
Yeah, he would have, committed suicide.
In 2 foot of bathwater.
Right.
Yeah, he drowned. Yeah.
So speaking of China, that's kind of interesting. You bring that up. They are talking now about removing the tariffs that they have on China. And that's been a 4-year stint of just ridiculousness, but they are starting to now take in opinions and thoughts on should we keep them. Then they will have a cutoff. Then you will have the the second half of that where they'll have a time period in which you will say, please stop doing this. It is, wreaking havoc on not only our clients, their clients, because that's what's going to happen, right? These importers pass the buck off more often than not onto the people purchasing it and say, it's cost doing business, baby, sorry. And then it's just absolutely outrageous. And so I'm thinking to myself, please, super please, take the damn tariffs off of goods from China, because in the business that I am in, it's a pain in the ass. I mean, it is literally just a pain in the ass. And because I'm in imports and exports, and that doesn't mean substances in and out of my body. That means I'm trying to import goods for our clients. And we, so many projects come about because of these tariffs. So many rules come about because of these tariffs. People try to get sly with it and try to classify things as different objects that they're not, to skirt the tariffs and whatnot. And honestly, it's just a cluster, man. And I cannot wait for the day that ends. I mean, it'll be me on the roof, it'll be like a commercial. I'll have the drone out there filming me, just yay, people will be going nuts because I don't mind if you go after China or any other country for whatever reasons you have. That's totally fine. Don't do it in a way that affects me directly, because it pisses me the hell off, man. It's just, it's so annoying. They've done that, and they've done aluminum tariffs where they had some GAEs, or generally accepted exclusions, for them that says, okay, these types of stuff we're not going to apply the hammer to. But it's again a pain in the ass, and I mean they just brought up something with the EU here like this past year where they're kind of helping out the EU, right? Like the European Union saying, "Hey, we're not going to screw you guys over too," because stuff from Turkey, Oman, China, everywhere else, like if you're bringing in aluminum or steel, they're gonna get you. Steel is 25% tax on whatever it is. And normally when people bring in steel products, they're bringing in millions of dollars worth of that at one time.
Wow.
And then aluminum, same deal. You're bringing in aluminum just products to be most often like retooled, repurposed in an American plant, right? To have be updated. And tell you, man, that's a rough biz. So,
wow.
Interesting business, but it is something. Get the tariffs off, y'all. Like, I'll speak in front of the International Court of Trade. I don't care. Like, it's silly as hell, man. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's something else. So,
well,
something else.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
So that's dastardly deeds. That's definitely it. And something that's kind of wild, I mean, it's already the middle of May. Like, you want to talk about a year going by fast and, faster and faster and faster all the time. Like
November can't get here fast enough, though. Vote them out. Vote them the hell out.
Well, one thing, too, to think about with that is get your voter ID ready. Get your... what do you call it? Like, get your ducks in a row if you're going to get out there and vote and whatnot. Something that we can end on that I thought was kind of interesting. I just got the new license plate for Tennessee. Those of you who are Tennesseans or around that state have noticed our license plate has changed to this unique looking blue monstrosity. And the reason why I called it a monstrosity is because the number I had on my plate was very easy to know, and then now it's a garbled mess of just random stuff. But something that's kind of unique to that, of course, I got it offline because I'm a millennial. Fight me. And
did you say bite me?
Fight me.
Oh, okay.
Fight me IRL or fight me in real life. So they have the option at the tail end, right before you hit pay, right? Do you want your license plate, much like this says life in general, in this kind of round thing, right? So they have in the center a flag, basically like the symbol of the three dots or the three stars inside of the circle. That's on the Tennessean flag. They have that, but around it, you can put "In God We Trust," right? Or you can just have nothing. And there's a unique psychology behind that where even just the fact of having it be a non-option, like whatever dot is selected first will be the one that's picked over 75% of the time just naturally, because people just aren't going to make the move to do something different. Dan Irely, I'm not sure if anybody knows who that is, but a very interesting person, and Israeli, I believe he is Israeli, economics guy, kind of like a Thomas Sowell kind of figure. And they did this study with people being organ donors in a particular area. And they had the amount of organ donors jump by like some ridiculous amount, like 80%, because what they did in the form to fill out to like get your ID and to get your to get kind of like your new ID card or driver's license, they just put sign here or fill out this box if you don't want to be an organ donor, as opposed to making it, hey, would you be an organ donor? Check the box. People are just going to naturally not want to do something, right? And so they just say, well, okay. And then the numbers skyrocketed. So the reason why I bring that up is excuse me, the uniqueness of that situation with the license plate, I thought it was kind of interesting that they had the non-In God We Trust version checked first as opposed to the other one, where you're in the Bible Belt, right? Like my assumption would have been, and that's what kind of surprised me a little bit, was that the one within God We Trust is not the one that's first, or it's not the one that's already checked. So most people would just say, screw it, move on, pay, and roll. You have to actually make the choice to put the other one on there. So
you would think that would be the only one on there.
You would think?
Yeah, just to leave it. Either yes, you want it on, or just leave it. No, you don't.
Well, it's
if
something.
You check the box, yes. If you don't do anything, because
right.
people are inherently lazy,
yeah,
and they're not paying attention. So, yeah,
kind of unique. And so, that's what we'll end on is if you folks want if you want things to be done a certain way, i.e., you want people to volunteer for this or do that, just make it a reverse decision, right? Tell them sign this if you don't want to do something, or and then they'll naturally just statistically won't do it as much, right? They're not going to take the time to check the box. So kind of unique, but we've hit the hour mark, sir. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, vote them out in November and vote all the way down the card. Vote all of them out. Vote all the way down from the top to the bottom.
That's it.
The hell out. Yeah.
Yep. Vote them out. Awesome.
That's it.
Well, thank you all so much for watching the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jay, and we will catch you all in the next episode.
See you.